Welcome, everybody. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America, land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Lord, as Rotarians, help us always to be patient and kind. Help us not to be boastful, envious, or proud. Protect us from being rude, self-seeking, or easily angered. Teach us not to keep records of wrongs or delight in evil, but show us the benefits in dealing in the truth. Inspire us to spread peace, hope, and perseverance in helping mankind in our community and throughout the world. Amen. At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Ed Casey to come up and speak.
Thank you, Ryan. I want to talk just for a moment about Max Volterra. Max passed away last fall. He was a Rotarian, among many other things. When Max asked me, as he was moving into semi-retirement, to sponsor him for membership in Rotary, I was proud both for the club and for myself that this man who had participated so intensely for so long in civic and charitable activities wanted to join our club. And he asked me to gain entry. If someone like Max wanted to be a Rotarian, then we were doing something right. He didn't need to be taught about the club's motto. He had been living it for a lifetime.
Thank you. Now we will toll bell for our departed Max Volterra. All right, now we're going to go a little out of order of what we would normally do for an installation. Can everyone hear me? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, normally during the course of our week we have Roto. Well, this past week I did not give Amanda the cards, so our winner was not able to make a selection. So, to explain it to those who don't know what we do, on a weekly basis we collect some money and put it together and use a ticket system to potentially determine a winner. That person who picks the ticket gets to choose from the deck of cards that I have here, while we search for a Queen of Hearts. And as you know, 52 cards in the deck. Sometimes it can take a little while. Our first time went, I think, 40 some odd weeks, so we had quite a large pot. So at this time, I'm going to ask Don Pierce to come up and choose for our winner this past week.
Who's my daughter? Emerson. College fun.
John, would you like me to choose for?
Joker.
I don't think we could have done that.
Supposed to take that one.
I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's, no, come back up. That's not fair. That's not fair.
That's 53 cards.
Let me make sure there's no other card in here. I saw the Queen. No. Now, I did not plan that at all. I couldn't. The chances of that happening.
Somehow it seems right.
1 in 53.
Well, we already have some that are out.
All right. Where were we? College fun. Nope. Oh, well.
All right. So 7
Oops,
o'clock.
she'll have to keep working.
We're trying again. You want to try a couple more times?
I mean, we could keep going. All right. So at this time now, we are going to install our new members. Actually, is our new member here? All right. So we have a new member that we were going to install tonight, Robin Maxey from the Attleboro YMCA. She's not able to make it here. So we will install her at some point in the coming months. All right. So with that, I believe we now turn it over to Carolyn to come up and install our officers.
All right, and before we install the officers, we're actually going to discharge the outgoing officers and the outgoing director. So the outgoing officers are Jeff Nelson, our past president, Julie Hall, the sergeant at arms, and Paul Dumichel, who is our bulletin editor. None of them are here tonight. So this might be a good time to be nominating for positions in the future. But we wanted to say a few words about them. Jeff, of course, brought fun and laughter and so many jokes to every meeting during his Rotary presidency. He began a new children's literacy initiative, which extended beyond his term into the past year as well. And he spent the better part of a year taking an idea from Mash Patel to get equipment from the old high school to an underserved area of the world. And despite what seemed like constant obstacles, he got that project over the finish line. The finish line, of course, in that case, was a remote village in Panama where electrical wires had to be individually lifted in order to get a large container through the city streets to its destination. Jeff's perseverance during one challenge after another was inspiring, and we are so thankful for his years of service. Julie Hall, our sergeant at arms, her long-term service to the club has made her a wealth of knowledge. When asked to serve as sergeant at arms for this past year when the club was in a pinch, she happily jumped in once more, checking in members and selling roto tickets during a time when the typical 5 to 10 tickets sold per week morphed into many, many more. In fact, as I remember, it morphed into a pot of over $500 until a Rotary member who hadn't been seen for some time took a Wednesday off from golfing, showed up at our weekly meeting, bought exactly 1 ticket. I remember because I bought 5 that day. He's shaking his head. Did you buy 2 tickets, Dad? 3 tickets and won $500. He, of course, has not been seen since other than tonight. So Don Pierce, the next time you have to pick for somebody, and this gentleman is here, you may pass it on to him. But anyway, Julie's job that in the past year was certainly a little bit harder than the sergeant at arms typically is, and we're very grateful for her service. And lastly, we have Paul Dumichel, who couldn't be with us this evening either, but we'd like to recognize him for his service as bulletin editor. Even though his work schedule often conflicted with his ability to attend meetings, he graciously continued to faithfully provide the weekly bulletin to this club. And so for Jeff, Julie, and Paul, I am effectively discharging them from their duties to the club as past president, sergeant at arms, and bulletin editor. We applaud them for their service and thank them for their hard work. And on the director's side, we do have one outgoing director, George Howarth. We thank George for his many years of service on this board. He has been extremely generous with his time, talent, and treasure, and his contributions to the auction and the golf tournament are significant, as well as his expertise in our recent service projects in Boca, Panama, and with the Attleboro Arts Museum. He may be quiet, but his dry sense of humor is always on point, and we'd like to thank him in his service as director. Now there's one more officer who I thought I would be discharging tonight. Until about 24 hours ago, Tom Kelly was on the list of discharged officers. And I can see Alyssa Hall laughing because I think she knows what happened. There was a sudden opening last evening as bulletin editor. And so Tom Kelly, who has risen through the ranks in this club as vice president, president, past president, and treasurer this most recent year, will still be an officer this year, now wearing a new hat as our bulletin editor. So next I'm moving on to the installation of the Rotary Club officers with the exception of our new president. We'll get to her in a little bit. So I'd like the following officers and board members for the 2023 to 2024 Rotary Year to join me in the front of the room. We have President-elect Kathy Haig, Vice President Scott Jones, Treasurer Ryan Sherman, Secretary Jim Jones, Sergeant at Arms Kenny Benoit, Past President and Foundation Chair Ryan Sherman, and of course Bulletin Editor Tom Kelly. We're also going to call forward Susan Williams, who's a new member of our Board of Directors, and Matt Flanagan and Chris Servant, two members of the Board of Directors who have been re-elected for an additional term to join us in the front of the room. We have a few more. I know it's getting a little crowded. So for the remaining members, we'll just have you stand at your seat where you are. The remaining members are the board members who were previously elected and whose terms have not yet expired. Don Pierce, Ed Casey, Jerry Hickman, Bill Kelly, Todd Richardson, and Alyssa Hall. Every one of them here. All right. Incoming officers and directors, you've been elected to important positions in the administration of the Rotary Club of Attleboro. This is an indication of the esteem and confidence that your fellow Rotarians have in all of you, for Rotary clubs are run on a regular basis by the board. The board directs and leads the programs of our club, and our members are confident that you will uphold the high traditions of our club and will give the best of your ability to the furtherance of the interest of the club, will support our president's plans, and will carry forward the objects of Rotary. And so thus I ask each of you, and I'll tell you in advance the answer is I will. Will each of you fulfill the responsibilities of your office to the best of your ability in accordance with the Constitution and the bylaws of the club?
I will.
I declare you to be the new officers and members of the board of the Rotary Club of Attleboro and transfer to you the administration of this club during the upcoming Rotary Year. Give you You may be seated while I call up our new president, Amanda Adams. Amanda, you've been selected by the members of the Rotary Club to guide us through this coming year. The club has entrusted you with the responsibility of shaping our club's future, and the success of the club in the coming year will lie most heavily upon you. It's an expression of the respect that we have for your past accomplishments and the confidence that we have in you for your leadership. And so I'd ask that you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Amanda Adams,
I, Amanda Adams,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the Rotary Club of Attleboro,
the office of President of the Rotary Club of Attleboro,
that I will, to the best of my ability,
that I will, to the best of my ability,
give support and assistance
give support and assistance
to the District Governor and to Rotary International,
to the District Governor and to Rotary International,
and that I will uphold
and that I will uphold
the Constitution and bylaws of this club.
the Constitution and bylaws of this club.
Fellow Rotarians and guests, I give to you the incoming president and her board of directors. you can be seated. I'm going to call forth Ryan Sherman for the pinning of the past president by our new president.
Get the right pin, otherwise you get another president again.
No. That's all yours.
I remember this from last year. This is a little tricky.
The struggle, and you get it through.
This is part of the challenge of becoming.
First test.
I got it. We're all right. Awesome. Right. As a token of our appreciation for all of your time and your talent and your treasure, for which you are so generous, so very generous, we want you to have this.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna, so I'm gonna read my remarks. So I know many of you may know me, and one of the things you probably have learned over this time, I'm not about me. I'm about the club. I want to talk about what we did this past year and focus on that. So for my remarks, I just want to go through some of the different things that we did just to remind ourselves of what we actually accomplished this past year. So I stand before you to share these remarkable achievements that our club has basically been involved in over the past year. And it's with great pride and gratitude that I present to you the impact that we've made with community service here in this area. So, as Carolyn had mentioned, one of our largest projects was something that spilled over from Jeff's year into my year. And that was the Attleboro High School BOCUS project, where, you know, we took several weeks going through the school and looking for a number of different items, things that were deemed that wouldn't be used within the Attleboro school system, but could be used elsewhere. And, you know, it took over 20 Rotarians, and we had some supplies that came in from Sturdy Memorial Hospital. We packed a 40-foot shipping container on a very hot day in July, where the shipping container smelled of the sea. So it's still in my memory today. But, you know, with Jeff's help, and Emily Talentino, who's a former Attleboro Rotarian who's actually down in the Bocas del Toro Rotary Club, we were able to put this together. And when you think about the actual cost was about $17,000, and the like-new equipment and supplies would have been over $100,000 of what they truly received down in that area. So I think it's a testament to the dedication and the resourcefulness of this club. Now, one of our upcoming items in August will be our Rotary Golf Tournament. And, you know, it's in collaboration with the Attleboro YMCA. We've seen tremendous success under Tom Kelly. And, you know, this event has gotten bigger and bigger each year, which is it's just phenomenal. And, you know, it's one of the true... What's that?
T-signs.
No, yes, T-signs. If you want to have a sponsorship, please consider doing that. Talk to myself or Tom. We'll definitely get you the information you need. So, let's see. You know, supporting our local community is the heart of our club's mission. And we actively participated in the Empty Bowls event in September through not only community service effort and volunteering, but also through financial contributions, which helped them match, or they received a matching donation from a large contributor. So that was phenomenal. Well, another community service event that we put together was the Sturdy Memorial Community Day in October, where we helped set up and break down the tables for them for that event. In January, we had our soup kitchen at the Centenary Church, where we put together about 80 sit-down meals, 120 meals to go, and we had, you know, past and present Rotarians, and we actually got one Rotarian back, Joan Ritchie, I think, from that event, which is phenomenal to be able to bring someone back. And I think that the food, which is the chili that Joan cooks, is definitely appreciated by those in need. So it's definitely something that they look forward to if we are able to commit to that each year. Now, our presence in the community extends beyond direct service. We actively participated in the Winter Nights Festival here in the center of the city, where we sponsored the caricatures which were done in the Arts Museum. And we also had a table announcing or letting everyone know that our auction was back. Now, that was a big thing. Our auction was gone for, was it 2+ years? It was a large hole in our budget, and you know, it was great because Jerry and Jim, they got together and they, you know, put it on a new website, redid it, and you know, it's definitely come a long way, given that it came a little bit later, and we missed a few things that we didn't have just because of timing, tickets with the Celtics, and you know, we still did very well. So it's just, again, it's a testament of our club and coming together and making something work. So, you know, one of the large endeavors or the cornerstone of what we do is our club's focus on education. Last month, we had the privilege of awarding, you know, 5 Rotary scholarships to youths in the community, and we had a couple of them come for a scholarship luncheon where we were able to meet with them and talk about Rotary. So that was phenomenal. Now, you know, in conclusion, I want to just basically say thank you, you know, to the board for their assistance this past year, to the members for making this all come together. Without you, without us, this isn't possible. So, you know, what I highlighted there talks about, you know, just the incredible journey that we embarked upon this past year, our collective vision, and, you know, it was never about my personal agenda or accomplishments. It was about keeping what we've been doing going in the right direction. And then looking at different things and saying, what can we do to keep this going and still relevant? So, you know, part of this is just seeking that fresh opportunity. Now, I will say, I want to steal something from Amanda from our recent lunch, where she beautifully stated that, you know, while we may be an individual teeth on the Rotary wheel, right, our collective impact with other organizations is the profound, or allows us to leverage our unique skills and make a substantial difference within the community. So, without further ado, I will turn it over to Amanda. I believe we're going to have you come up and I'm going to pin you. You have your speech?
Yes, it's in here.
It's in there?
Yes.
So we'll clear out.
See if you have as much trouble as I did trying to get it off.
A little more experience. I had to do this last year. Here we go. Which side? Last side right there?
You're right on.
So let's go. Hold on. I can't see which way's up. All right, there we go.
This is where I say ouch.
That's where you say ouch, yes. Let's just try to find that. You
Awesome. All right.
are good to go. Let me put this back together. And we'll get out of your way.
Can I take mine?
Oh, your notes are in here? Sorry.
My notes.
I'm trying to steal everything.
I don't want to ad-lib. Ryan, thank you so much. And honestly, I just reflecting on your year and the accomplishments and all that the club does and comes together in force to volunteer and be and participate in our weekly meetings and so forth. So just really thank you so much for your service. And yeah, I'm going to be a little bit high level, just so I had prepared something, and I would just like to kind of, let me take a deep breath. So I'll start with a few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to speak at the Scholar Luncheon, like Ryan had mentioned. And at that time, I called attention to the Rotary flag, the symbol. And the symbol, which was originally a wheel, has changed over time to the gear that we see today. The gear represents, like I mentioned, not only strength and work, but also the interconnectedness through the teeth, through the 24 teeth. And if I asked you to all visualize a gear in your home, you might think of a bicycle. And in just a few weeks, on July 1st, one of the premier sporting events of the world will kick off, the Tour de France. In over 23 days, 22 teams will race through 21 stages and over 2,100 miles of terrain. So let me just repeat, 23 days, 2,100 miles of terrain. Not a feat that I'd want to do alone, And the Tour de France has introduced us to a word made even more popular through an at-home fitness trend, and that word is Peloton. Audience participation, thank you. So the Peloton refers to a group of cyclists tightly packed together to achieve speed and conserve energy. And just like geese flying in a V formation, a Peloton will morph and change as riders shift out of a lead position and back into the pack. And here's the interesting thing about a Peloton, is that the lead rider doesn't expend any more energy than normal. And the riders, so that said again, that rider is not exerting any extra energy to pull, and the other riders are not exerting any extra energy to push. And yet the power of a Peloton is measurable, it's visible, and undeniable. And so if we just take a moment to set physics aside and reflect on how magical and beautiful this concept really is, that you're not pulling or pushing, and yet you're achieving incredible efficiency and power. Our Attleboro Rotary Club is a Peloton. We are a tightly woven group driven by a deep belief in service above self. And just like the Tour de France, our club will have familiar terrain to cover. There will be a predictable cadence to the calendar of weekly fellowship meetings, funding requests, service projects, but there will also be changing road conditions of variables unforeseen. Will our Peloton gain or lose members? Will our financial standing strengthen or weaken? Will there be new service opportunities or new need in our community? And as I think about that, I think this is all okay, because these unknowns are to be embraced. The very nature of a Peloton is dynamic. It is always morphing. And ironically, change is the source of its power. So this evening, our Peloton changes shape predictably through its annual installation ceremony. We're repositioning members to rise up and others to rest up. And I repeat again, to rest up. Because this rotation is vital to our health. It's rotary, it's rotation, it's the wheel, and it's interconnected. And so it's with deep admiration for our past and a renewed energy for our future that I assume the position as your president, and I sincerely look forward to our ride together this year. Please stay, enjoy fellowship. We still have the room. The bar, I think, is still open. And I just thank you all so much for coming tonight.